could cancer be a metabolic disorder as well as a genetic disorder? That's my question. And I think the answer is yes. So we now know that inflammation appears to be present in a tumor microenvironment, and that inflammation likely causes immunosuppression and reduced immunosurveillance. So one possibility would be that when you develop these common mutations in your billions of cells lining the colon wall, and that happens every day, and they're normally destroyed by
Yeah.
your immune system. They become apoptotic and they go away. But what if you have an immunosuppression locally, a chronic immunosuppression? Would more of those take hold or take foot? And one example of that is a mouse study, and there's been a number of them, but there's a mouse model called the APC min mouse. And in
Mm.
that mouse model, they basically have a single hit. In APC can have two hits, but one hit in the APC allele, and the mouse is born with that in every cell of its body. And if you give that mouse a highly obesogenic diet, rich in arachidonic acid, rich in omega-6 effectively, they produce many more polyps, 60% more
Hmm.
polyps than a normal mouse. So you're putting that inflammatory milieu in the presence of a mutation
Yeah.
that could cause cancer. And all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're getting more of them, more
Yeah.
hits.
Double
To
whammy, kind
me,
of.
to me, that's kind of de facto evidence that an inflamed environment could lead to increase. I don't know whether it's increased mutability, but increased chance of mutations taking foot.
Yeah. So if I'm tracking here, because I was actually about to ask you, as someone who's never been a cancer biologist, I never studied cancer biology per se, but as someone who's always in biology, I remember as a student sort of just having the notion in my mind, oh, cancer is from mutation. You get X number of mutations in tumor suppressor genes or whatever, and then the normal cell becomes a cancer cell, and off you go. If I'm following you, Tim, what you're basically saying is yes, there are these mutations involved in creating cancer cells. But normally, I mean, there's so many cells in the body getting so many mutations every single day that all of us at some rate is generating, cancer cells. And oftentimes, more often than not, when things are working appropriately, our body takes care of that. Those cells are detected and they are destroyed, and the immune system is involved in that. It sounds like what you're saying, Tim, is that if you're in a certain inflammatory state, if you have chronic inflammation or what have you, then immune surveillance can actually be sort of turned down such that the probability that any one of those cancer cells that would have very likely been destroyed before it became full blown cancer and problematic actually doesn't get destroyed. And so, even though mutations are necessary to generate a cancer cell, the inflammatory state of the tissue can also dictate sort of the probability of whether or not that cancer cell will actually be handled when it should be.
Right. And we call that tumorigenesis, by the way. So, or carcinogenesis or tumorigenesis, basically the increased ability of the metabolic state to enhance tumorigenesis is what we think could be happening. It's also possible that once you have a tumor, that the inflammation can make things worse.